food of great quality, particularly the ice creams, which would have sold during the losses all a long time ago, over 10 years, maybe 15 years. We could have had the most wonderful ice cream export. She had everything except money to buy what I suppose the health board, and perhaps correctly, could not accept her as being clean enough. She was spotlessly green, she was born on blue girl, but not to come up to the expensive standards that were required. And actually, I must say this, that if I'm wandering around the country and I'm hungry, I want to go into a little restaurant somewhere and get back to eat. Once upon a time you thought, oh well, what on earth is it like in the kitchen? And now you think, thank God the inspector was around, lovely and clean in the kitchen, I can go in. And so we have a lot to thank the health boards for, but also we have to defend or make it possible still to some extent to keep the people that are doing superb food in business and flourishing in every way and giving us all these lovely foods which they can do and which sometimes even to this day they find hard to finance. And actually it was for this I sort of suggested to Eurotoques that we run a sort of system that I called at that time the safety net, which meant that, I don't know how it's working because I haven't been closely involved in it recently, maybe somebody can tell us, but the idea was if there was a very good producer, we don't want to keep the ones that are not particularly good obviously, but a very good producer who simply couldn't afford to put in the standards required, and we must have our standards, and had to go out of business because of that. And they're the people we want to watch now to make sure that somehow or other we don't lose them. And we have lost quite a lot of people. For instance, Veronica Steele, who was probably the first person to make Irish farmhouse cheese of the new wave of cheesemakers, and that goes back a long way. And she was the first person, and then she taught all the farmers' wives. She lives and still lives on the Beara Peninsula, and she taught the farmers' wives how to make cheese and butter. Well, I think it was all cheese that she made. And at that time, in fact, there was somebody in Cork University who was paid to teach people how to make cheese. She never taught anybody, because nobody wanted to make cheese or eat cheese either in those days, and this is a long time ago. So anyway, but she did teach all the people. But unfortunately, the next thing that came down was was a health inspector, and rightly or wrongly, he condemned all the kitchens. So we lost all the cheeses. Now, I'm not asking anybody to make sure that the cheese survives. I'm only asking that enough money is available for food of the high quality that is often made, that there might be money available so that we don't lose them. We spend an awful lot of money educating people and teaching them how to do things, but then it's no good if requests are put on them that they can't possibly afford to come up to. And we're getting much better, and so that is something that we must watch out for, the people who are very good and in a fragile situation with regard to upgrading their business. I also would like to if I dare, suggest to Borbia and I suppose, I don't know who's selling the food at the moment, but anyway, that they're actually terribly lucky to have Eurotoques, because they have all through the country chefs who are dedicated to the very best quality food. And chefs who can produce what, as was said by the minister, can produce very high-class cooking and meals. And not only that, but the Eurotoques chefs, so I think I was first to actually, they wrote to me from Belgium in 1984. I don't know why they chose me, but I think I was a friend of the ambassador's wife or something. And they wrote and asked me if I would start a Eurotoques movement, which was going through Europe for the one purpose of preserving the high quality foods in Europe. With the great European chefs like Bocuse and all the chefs in each country, we had the top chef in each country. They needed these quality foods in order to continue to sell the highest quality food in their restaurant, the best meals, the best dishes. They couldn't do it without properly, they couldn't take a battery chicken and make their superb chicken dish, for instance. They'd have to have ones that were free range, eating grass, looked after, fattened. No, they wanted quality food, not cheap food. And we'd all gone over to cheap food by then, actually, the whole of Europe, actually. So that everybody get enough to eat, which is a good idea, actually, come to think about it. But anyway, that's how it was. And they started the Eurotoques movement in Europe to, as they said, to defend our foods. And it's something we've done, and I would like just to remind you, respectfully, the Department of, I don't know, it's the new Department of Food, whatever it is. And certainly Board Beer, that they're actually rather lucky to have us. And we'll do our best for them.
Here.
Thank you very much.
Yep, sorry.
Evan Doyle from
Yes.